Well, hello, everyone. I'm here. I'm Ed Parcaut, and this is Francisco Ruvalcaba Jr. Like, why are you keeping the junior off? You have plenty of room now. You don't have to put your phone number up there.
I know. I do need it. That was a problem for me when I got my license.
Well, I have so many juniors.
Yeah, my uncle. I don't know why, but my uncle is also named Francisco Ruvalcaba, but he's not a junior. But the junior is what helped a little bit. But my dad and my uncle, both of their names are Francisco Ruvalcaba. Just one of their middle names is different. I have no clue why.
Well, that's like me. The only difference was my middle name for my dad and other people in my family. It's like, thank goodness you didn't make me a junior.
You're like the second.
Yeah, I don't want to be. It was hard enough,
Yeah, no. But what we really, really want to talk about today is letting you understand the benefits of buying now versus buying later. Because a lot of the times we run into the issue of people wanting to wait and wanting to time the market until the rates and the prices and everything is perfect. However, that's unrealistic.
Yeah, it's like the scale of justice, right? You've seen the scales, and they're like, okay, I want values to be lower, rates are up. I want rates lower and values are up. It's really hard to hit it perfectly. Can you see my hands perfectly right here? One's either up and one's down. Catching that right there is never perfect. Don't worry about that, because you're going to be in that house 5-10 years, and it won't matter after 6 months being in that house that you paid a little bit more today and your payment's a little bit higher when you're going to refinance in a year or 2 years, and you're going to potentially get some money towards closing costs. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could use that money to make up the difference in the rate instead of buying it down. I just don't think buy downs is the best way to go right now. I know still people are doing it, and that's their purpose. I mean, they're right. They can do whatever they want, but I want to sit down with you, whether it's on a video or over the phone, and run the numbers and see what makes sense. Numbers don't lie. Yeah. Other things do. I don't want to say people do, but numbers don't lie. But, other people do.
Yeah. And with that being said, too, you have to also take into consideration, like when people are running the numbers and they're seeing it. I mean, it's as simple as laying out, that if you're waiting, you're missing out on equity. Like, let's say you were to wait a year.
Hold on. If you read my book, the first, not even the first chapter, but there's a $70,000 mistake. I was working with a client with another agent, and they were ready to write an offer. She started getting cold feet. He didn't work it through. He just was like, oh, okay. And then she came back in, and the house was now cost her $70,000 more. There's your mistake. That's what you're talking about, the equity.
Right. And that's where, I mean,
and now she can't afford it.
And that's been the toughest thing for me. Like, and I feel like really bad for, a lot of my clients, like some of the ones that I was meeting 3-4 years ago that were, they were like, I don't want to buy right now. I want to wait for things to get better. And like every year, like we said on the last episode, things just get worse. And we don't want to say worse.
Like, what do you mean by worse? You mean like values are up and
right. Yeah. Right. But imagine how awesome that would have been if you bought, right? Like, rather than it being a negative thing.
Well, and all right. So here's an example. All right, we started the radio show in 2018. People were listening. And then in 2019, I'm going to say kid, because that's what he was. He's about your age, younger than you, actually reached out. And he said, my dad told me to start listening to your radio show so I could buy a house. I'm ready to buy a house. They called me recently to get qualified to buy a different house, right? And they're like, we were so nervous to buy in 2019, and we are so happy we did. Because think about it, they went up 66% in equity in this home. And that's what you're talking about, is if you don't act now, you're just throwing away money.
Right.
And that's what people need to realize. And people, you can lead, the old statement, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. We can talk till we're blue in the face. They have to somehow understand that, what we're trying to tell them.
Right. Like we said, right, it's that willpower or that will to want better. Mm-hmm. And, and that's the thing too. I mean, I've always told everybody, if you can get qualified and go out there and you're comfortable now, it's only going to get better. Mm-hmm. Like that's the biggest thing, is that it will only get better. And I mean, shoot, even with me, I mean, I took my own advice, and as soon as I could buy, I did it. My rate is 7.25.
What?
You know what I mean? And I'm not upset.
But that was conventional rates just recently.
Right. So, and that's the thing is, I never wake up and I'm unhappy and think that I made a mistake. It's been the best decision I've ever made in my life, actually. And
even at the higher rate.
Exactly.
And what people don't realize as a business owner, because that's what you do, even though you do real estate, you're still a business owner because you're your own entity inside of another entity. You have two choices: pay a lot in taxes or do a different type of loan that you pay a higher interest rate, but you don't pay thousands and thousands of dollars in interest. I'm sorry, of taxes on your income that you get to write off because of how you do things.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just, in order to, I need to show $150,000 a year of income. And so I got to not write off everything to do that or whatever that thing. But that's just so much more in taxes. But the way you did it with a bank statement loan or other stuff that we have for business owners, it's the smartest way to do it.
Right.
You're in business for a reason. Make money and not pay taxes.
Yeah. And that's the thing
that
too.
Much in taxes.
Right. And I mean, and that's the biggest piece of it as well. Like, that's where I do tell people, I mean, and that's why those programs are out there. And that's why they come with a bit of a heftier interest rate.
It's because of risk.
Exactly.
So if you're a W-2 wage earner and you can do conventional, there's no risk and it's a primary residence. If you're doing outside of that, it's the higher the risk, the higher interest rate, period. That's how that works. Low FICO score, high interest rate.
Yeah.
Riskier.
And that's the thing too, though, is no matter what, it's possible. Without that program, I wouldn't have been in a house, you know, and
you don't need a duplex.
I know, right? I'm super
tried pretty soon when you move in the garage.
I know. Man, I'm just waiting until I move out there. That's when it's going to be real good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got lucky, and those are the things is, I mean, I've helped myself get lucky. I've helped a lot of, my clients get lucky too, even with a lot of I have actually one investor, really. He just kind of became an investor after purchasing his first house. And, there's always opportunities out there to buy houses. And even for people where like the payment is the hardest part, get creative. Think about a duplex. Think about finding a house that has another little ADU or something on it. And, like we've said, I mean, a lot of people are becoming accidental landlords, right?
Yeah. Don't ever sell anything in this world anymore for a long time.
And I preach that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, when I work with a lot of my clients and they're thinking, or if I'm doing an open house and they come in, they're like, man, we really like this house, but we need to sell our house. It's like, well, hold on, wait a minute. What can we do to help you keep the house? Right. How can we help you get closer to financial freedom? Because again, retirement plans and everything, I mean, they're good, but they only serve so much. And real estate is the best, fastest, I believe, safest way to just generate more wealth.
Oh yeah, because you're going to keep it long term. It's going to make money. You're going to pay down the mortgage, and rents are always going to go up. Period. Mortgage payments aren't, unless you borrow more money out of it. The one thing about it, your fixed payment. That's why a lot of people go, oh, I don't want an adjustable. I really don't do adjustables because it makes no sense to do an adjustable. Even if rates went up, it made no sense. If we were in the 12s and 10s and 11, maybe at that time it would make sense. But in general, it still was about the same to keep with the 30-year fixed rate. So, and there's only a couple of places I know that will do that. And it's basically because you have so much money invested with them, they'll give you interest only adjustable, really low interest rate, but you have to have millions and millions and millions of dollars with them.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking SVP. That's not here anymore.
No. And even, I mean, again, like we just tell everybody is just get out there and take advantage of right now too. I mean, how we still are able to get closing cost credits. Like I've been telling, I've kind of been having to tell some of my clients, like, don't be too greedy either, because right now it's like, we're at a weird stage where people aren't realizing how fast we're about to shift.
We already shifted.
Right. And I mean, just full force. And like we said, in the last episode too, I mean, we've been like slingshotted into it even faster because of the dream program. So get out there and see if you can still get those opportunities to get those closing cost credits, because right now where the rates are, having those closing cost credits and keeping more money in your pocket is going to serve you way better.
And I don't want to keep bringing this up because I'm not trying to sell books. I'm just trying to help people. I had another person who gave it to their son, and he read it, and he's like, now I feel like I'm able to go ahead and move forward, and I feel more comfortable understanding, so I can now go buy a house within this year. You know, and that's the difference. You don't understand what you don't know until you get the information. And I actually gave it, not that I have much hair, but the person that cuts my hair, I gave it to him as signed one because he's been doing it. And he's like, man, you got a lot of good information in there. I was like, what, you shocked? And he goes, yeah, I actually was.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing too is just how easy it is to read, right? Like it's just so straightforward.
Yeah, it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
I didn't want a War and Peace, and I didn't want a pamphlet. I wanted just big enough to have the information in it, but people could read it and sit down and read it within a few hours because it's so easy to read. I want you to have the knowledge. I mean, I have myself. I do a lot of podcasts, and people send me their books, and they're like this thick, and I'm like, I'm never going to get through that before your podcast. I just don't have the time, right? Where you need to get this information as quickly as possible and that's why it was right to the point. The same way I sell and I talk to people, when I talk to you about getting a loan and everything, that's how the book is set up. It's exactly the same way I walk you through the process.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's why and like I said, I'm not going to get wealthy off these books. It's not that. It's getting that information out there. There's only one of me, but I can get a bunch of books out there of the same thing I've been saying.
Right.
All right, Francisco, thank you for being here. Again, get my book, getedsbook.com. If you want a copy and you can't afford it, reach out to me. We'll talk.
Yeah. And
I'm just kidding.
You can reach out to me too whenever. Phone number is 209-493-2400.
Right. And if you don't want to work with you, that's fine. Work with Francisco. It's fine. What I mean is it's as long as you are getting help and getting into homes, that's all I care about. It's about buying a home before it gets to a point here in California, because we don't have enough homes that you're not going to be able to own.
Yeah.
And that's why investors are picking up everything they can. I know a lot more in other states, and they've slowed down in California, but they're still here. So don't think they ran away.
And they aren't intending to sell them.
No,
ever.
They'll keep them with family. All right, everyone, make a great day. Thank you for being here, Francisco, and